Well, after 11 questions, on the promise that I will have you away by 1 o'clock, I think that's as many as we have time for. So we'll move to closing statements at this time, and in line with the system of rotation, the first one up will be Mr. Clewitt.
Mr. Speaker, members, this hustings has been a challenge for everyone. Many candidates and only time for too few questions. I'm in no doubt that I have the qualities, qualifications, diligence, drive and initiative to take up the role of MLC. I hope any doubts you may have been dispelled. I do not approach this position lightly. I have no other commitments that would take precedence over something that I consider to be more than a full-time job. I have no need for a career, salary or prestige. I'm simply here that I may be of some useful service to my community. I have opinions on everything. Few are cast in stone, however. They mature through the exchange of ideas and the desire to work towards common goals. I view politics as the art of negotiation and compromise and temporary transactional alliances in order to get things done. My view in the role and function of the MLC in Manx politics has changed quite dramatically since I entered this election. I now have a much clearer personal view as to the place of an MLC and even potential reforms of LegCo. Things can always be improved. While I have opinions, I do not have a monopoly on knowledge or perspective. I'm a firm believer that there are many ways to skin a cat, if you're still allowed to say that. Politically, I have a strong sense of social justice and inequality. However, I'm also a fiscal conservative and quite distressed at the mountain of debt that we continue to burden our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren with. We have to start to deal with this, which is extremely difficult given that every can has been kicked down the road for several decades now. I thank Mr. Speaker and members for their valuable time over the past few weeks. I've enjoyed our conversations immensely and hope to engage in many more. You have a difficult decision to make. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So next to Mr. Brumby.
Yes, I thank Mr. Speaker and honourable members for your time today and my sponsors for the opportunity to partake in this process. I hope I've demonstrated through my answers that I've got an inquisitive mind and able to scrutinise and challenge. I've got a business mind, but that also comes with a compassionate side. I'm an ideas person and a solution finder. I don't criticise without bringing forward an alternative pathway. Debate and can compromise to find a way forward for the majority view that I want the island to thrive and prosper, that I'm proven in business startup and expansion, and proven in past leadership roles. I agree with the President of Tynwald when he was on the radio saying that LegCo needs to be a broad base to represent the whole community. And with my self-employed small business background, I think that's an area that's underrepresented, if represented at all, on LegCo. And it is right that there should be lawyers on LegCo, there should be corporate representatives on LegCo, there should also be people from the civil service background on LegCo, but it's also right and proper that the self-employed gets a representation on there. So I'm asking you for one of your votes to make the government more inclusive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Prickter.
Thank you, gentlemen, ladies. I've answered most of your questions as honestly as I can. Hopefully some of you will agree with some of what I said, and perhaps, hopefully, we will have the opportunity to debate further in the future. Should you feel able to vote for me tomorrow, I promise to carry out my role to the very best of my ability to help the Isle of Man. This election process, or should I say, I've met with many of you over the last few weeks, and one question keeps coming up about this election process. And it's not perfect, however. We can only abide by the legislation that's currently in place. You have a panel of candidates with a wide variety of experiences and ideas to bring to these roles, for which we are all standing. Your vote tomorrow in this election is being made on behalf of your constituents. They deserve the best people for the job. Thank you very much.
and thank you, honourable members. Well, I've enjoyed my time so far as a member of Letico and as a member of Tynwald, but I'm still learning every day. I suspect the next 5 years I'll still be learning every day should I be elected. I hope to continue to play a positive role in all my parliamentary roles should I be re-elected, and to further support the teams I've already been working with and the colleagues that I have enjoyed time with over the last year or so. I do hope to be able to join a standing or select committee of Tynwald, because I think that is a significant role that the MLC should be doing, and only if a suitable opportunity arises. So in short, I am an active member of Tynwald, mindful of the difference between an MLC and the role of an MHK, and I hope to be chosen by the majority of you and continue to serve the Isle of Man. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Miss August Harrison.
Thank you. My work in Legislative Council over the course of the last 5 years, some of you have been there for that, some of you more recently, and it has been a great privilege. I've learned a hell of a lot over the course of that period of time, and I'm extremely grateful for being able to undertake all of that work. I would like to be able to continue on. I would really like to be able to continue on working in Legislative Council in the capacities that I've been working on departments without the vote, with MOU, on project work. I've really enjoyed working on legislation in departments. And also sort of understanding the clear lines between legislation and policy, which some might consider to be quite interlinked. However, there is a way forward in terms of actually being able to kind of bring that policy and those policy thoughts and ideas through, so that those with primacy actually have the ability to take those decisions in a very, very unfettered and diluted way. I do have sort of like an awful lot of thanks to my family for putting up with me in this role. It is quite wide-ranging. It is quite extensive. But I would also like to thank all of those individuals that I have worked with over the course of the last 5 years. It has been a privilege. I would like to be able to continue on with my committees, particularly on the Constitutional, Legal Affairs and Justice Committee, and also therefore with the Public Accounts Committee, and also with DHSC and DEFA, and all of the legislation that I've been working on thus far, to be able to continue on with that work, particularly on regulation of care, children and young persons legislation, reform of the healthcare system. Recently I've begun talks with the OFT as well at the Minister's and Chairman's request regarding amendments to a Fair Trading Act, or ideas, principles on that. I would also like to be able to continue on with my work on the private members' bill with the human fertilisation and embryology work as well. But I'm grateful, very, very grateful for the 5 years that I've had. So thank you. Gurmayad.
Mr. Crane.
Guramayu, Lorida, and thank you to the Tynwald members who've survived this long into the session, really. Thank you for your commitment on that. Interviewing manuals suggest that the best indicator of future performance of an individual is past performance. So I just want to look at the past 15 months that I've been a member of Legislative Council, and it has been an enormous privilege to serve. I've been the only MLC involved in the 2 teams working on the big long-term issues facing the Isle of Man, population and climate, both of which are unfinished business. And these are cans that must not be kicked down the road. So I've been, very keen to participate. My work on population is well known. In March last year, I briefed members on the island's demographics, and I moved a Tynwald motion to establish a select committee. 4 months into the role, it was a bold step to take, really. I'm confident that the committee, chaired by Dr. Hayward and with Minister Thomas, has raised awareness of our serious demographic imbalances and ageing population. The recommendations of the committee will be debated at the April Tynwald and hopefully will lead to policy and change and actions. There's very important work still to be done. The knowledge and skills and mindset and scrutiny that I've shown, I will continue to show, and I am wiser now. I believe that if I'm re-elected on the population issues, I've got much to offer. I'm been pleased to serve on the Climate Change Transformation Board. I understood climate science when I arrived, the code red for humanity and so on, but I had a lot to learn about electricity generation, about supply networks, the energy trilemma and so on. I worked hard and I made some valuable inputs to the Climate Change Action Plan. I'm confident that if re-elected, I would make an effective contribution from day one if asked to continue in a role associated with climate change. The global drive to net zero is the economic opportunity of our times. We have to get this right. The economy in so many ways depends on it in terms of recruitment and retention and attraction of companies with strong ESG principles, as has been mentioned. But my 15 months as an MLC has involved much more than these two issues. Between them, these issues impact on and in turn are affected by the entire political landscape. I've engaged in nearly all members' briefings across a wide range of topics, offering scrutiny. I'm an experienced and competent public speaker. I've contributed to Tynwald sessions on topics ranging from the island plan to Liverpool Ferry Terminal. I've gained experience of scrutinising legislation and recently moved 14 amendments to a bill, as we've seen. I'm aware that we're just a third of the way through the administration and need to work hard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Jenkins.
Thank you all for the opportunity to answer your questions this morning. I believe in a collaborative approach to solving problems, but never shy away from making difficult decisions or challenging the status quo. I have a breadth of knowledge across various sectors of the economy and an understanding of local government. I have working knowledge of existing primary and secondary legislation and a desire to deliver statutes that work for the good of all islanders. To quote the AG, the statute should be readily accessible, readily understood and readily interpreted, not just by the people in this place, but by those we serve more generally. I understand the role of the Legislative Council and believe I can make a valuable contribution to ensure the delivery of legislation that aligns with the policies of the Island Plan and the economic strategy. I'm fair-minded, diligent and a strategic thinker. I bring 40 years business experience to the Council and a knowledge and insight of various sectors. There is a considerable amount of work to do and we need strong legislators that are prepared to work hard, scrutinise, focus on delivery and that have a deep understanding of the island and its people that they represent.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Kinnish.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd just like to thank all of the candidates, first of all, for standing, because it's been a pleasure to meet new people on this journey. And I think each of us offers a different dimension. And I thank those candidates and members for this experience. It's definitely been valuable. I believe I have strong values of integrity and impartiality, together with an investigative, inquiring mind, which brings a good mix of qualities to be an effective member of Legislative Council. I have strengths in building positive relationships, able to analyse complex issues and apply different perspectives, which I feel will help support delivery of the Island Plan's objectives. I believe also that I can contribute effectively to addressing inequalities through scrutiny to enable outcomes that meet people's needs. I'm passionate about the success of this island and in making a positive difference, and I hope that I can contribute that to leave a legacy for future generations. Thank you.
Mr. Keane.
Honourable members, I would like to reiterate my thanks to everyone who has made it possible for me to engage in this process for a second time. The opportunity to have both frank as well as more light-hearted political discussions with the island's policymakers has been another fantastic experience. I would also like to thank my family. They have offered me great support over the last few weeks and months, allowing me time to meet with members. Combining this election process with my work commitments has been a challenge, and I really would like to emphasise my gratitude for their support. I'd also like to thank my work colleagues for the support they've offered. Increasing diversity was a key recommendation of Liz Vane. I believe I could represent a diverse option in Council to represent the increasing diversity present in both Keys and Coman. I can provide diversity of thought, increasing the richness of debates within the Tynwald and Legco chambers, which I believe strengthens the robustness of our parliamentary processes. It is my belief that a successful and vibrant Tynwald is about personalities and relationships, as well as skills and experiences. Fostering a strong, positive group dynamic is, in my opinion, vital to the success of Tynwald. To demonstrate my commitment to this, I've contacted MHKs, MLCs, as well as wider Tynwald staff as part of this process. I believe I have the skills, personality and knowledge to complement the existing memberships of both Council and Tynwald and offer a broader perspective across both chambers that can help make positive contribution to our parliamentary procedure. As mentioned earlier, it is my belief that our national parliament should seek to represent the people it serves. I bring current public sector knowledge and experience. I'm a recent homeowner with a young family. My demographic, working and generational profile allow me to sit here today able to offer a unique perspective on legislative issues, what works well for people similar to me, but also what tweaks are needed to improve accessibility to and robustness of good quality legislation. I truly understand this role and am comfortable with the expectations and responsibilities that come with it. I believe I have the skills, work ethic and personality to make good and also evolve in the role of MLC. I hope I provided you confidence that if elected, I will offer a unique and beneficial perspective to both Legislative Council and Tynwald. Again, I'm happy to meet with members after the husting should anyone wish and hope that we may have the opportunity to work together to help deliver positive outcomes for our island. Thank you.
Mr. Reid.
Thank you. Well, firstly, thank you for getting this far. It's quite a long session this morning, and we've had some excellent questions. I hope what I've managed to do is get across the three sort of key things that I would hope to do if I'm successful, and that's around offering you scrutiny at a very deep level with a very good background in terms of what I've done in the past and a track record of success in offering scrutiny not just to legislation here but also in the UK in the work that I've been doing previous to here. I'd also offer again the fact that I believe I can support with the strategy that you've set out, and it's a very important strategy at a very important time. You're aware probably that there have been 3 banks in America, not in the last few days, that have actually gone to the wall, and you know there could be issues on the way from that. It does worry me that we need to be ready for anything, and I certainly feel that having managed through many crises in the work that I've done previously, that I can offer support and help in other areas as well as in the scrutiny. And lastly, I do have a good track record of success in what I've done, humbly approaching things, supporting people that I work with, and making sure that we actually achieve what it says on the tin around our purpose and what we're trying to achieve in terms of success for business. But I see that is absolutely critical now over the next 5 years. We're at a real crossroads, and I would love to be a part of that success and contribute to you in my support. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Birtles.
I'd like to start by thanking Mr. Ashford for nominating me and Dr. Hayward for seconding my nomination, as well as Mrs. Corlett and Mr. Callister for supporting my nomination. But also, of course, like to thank those members that I met with to discuss the role and to get a better knowledge of the expectations. It was a real honour to have this opportunity and to be a part of this process. I would respectfully like to ask that when you are considering who you wish to vote for tomorrow, that you don't discount me. I know I don't always get my point across quite as eloquently as some of my fellow nominees, but I do feel that I have answered the questions put to me honestly, concisely and fully. You have probably gathered by now I am an open and direct communicator, and what you see is what you get. I feel I could make a real change to LegCo. The way I break down things systematically, the ability I have to simplify things, will help drive the need for legislation to be more accessible and easily understood to all of our island residents. I would like to remind you of the different sectors I have worked in which I feel would benefit this position: healthcare, finance, local authority, government, home affairs and the third sector. This proves not only that I'm adaptable, but I also have vast experience within different sectors which I feel would make me a real asset. Throughout this process, I have heard other candidates say they will hit the ground running. I'm not going to make this promise, as I think this will be a new role with very different challenges. But what I will promise is that I will be fully committed, I will work hard, I will always be transparent and honest.
Thank you very much. Can I congratulate all the candidates for their bravery in entering the lion's den here today and answering members' questions, who have clearly enjoyed the shoe being on the other foot as opposed to general election hustings that we all have to put up with. Can I also thank Paul Moulton for making this hustings more accessible to the public, and can I ask honourable members in joining me in thanking the candidates for their time today. Thank you.